Alright, in today's video we're going to be looking at the science behind the refrigeration cycle in a car. Namely, I'm going to be using an example of the Honda Civic 2.2 CDTI Mark 8. My very own one. I'll be just using pictures as an example. So I've got some videos linked to air conditioning. I've got another one coming out, and it will be handy if I can link it with this video, which is based on the science behind it. Now, there's some things I've discovered in my own way and in my own time about compressing fluids. When you compress fluids or decompress fluids, there's certain changes that happen to them. They go through and they abide by a law called the gas cycle, the combined gas law. So, to simplify it, there's other equations involved. To simplify it, the easiest one I can think of is P1 B1 divided T1 is equal to P2 divided by V2 times V2 divided by T2. So these are called combined gas law. Now what it means is, if you've got a changing situation between in a fluid, and fluid means gas or liquid, compressible fluids, incompressible fluids has to be taken into consideration. Normally gases are considered compressible, and fluid is in water and liquid. Refrigerant, which is R134 alpha in a car, is considered incompressible. But if it goes through changes such as the ports of a car, the condenser, the dryer, the evaporator, I'll explain what they mean in a car. It can change from fluid to gas or vapor, in other words. So the equation states that here's this equal bit means where it goes through changes. So the state before and the state after it goes through, say, one of those devices I mentioned. The pressure in the first state times the volume in the first state divided by the temperature in the first state goes through some changes and is equal to the pressure in the second state after the changes, volume in the second state after the changes, and it divided by the temperature in the second state. So what does it all mean? It means that, say for example, this pressure was to go this is your given starting pressure, volume and temperature. If there were some changes that happened, if this pressure went up, this volume would have to go down to make it a balanced equation. That will keep it the same. Or if this pressure went up, this temperature would go up, just to make it the same as the left hand side. So anything on the right hand side should be the same as the left hand side after the changes. Alright, so let's erase this. I'm using the Microsoft's, I think they call it screen. As soon as it sensed my pen that I'm using, gave me this option. Alright, so can I name an example or two? Right. I'll use my drawing skills. I'm gonna try drawing a pair of lips. Here's a nose. Now, say for example, we use this theories of science in nature naturally, without really having to think about it. All right. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm not drawing someone who's blowing a kiss or anything, but someone is pursing their lips. Say for example, you had a hot cup of tea or coffee and it was hot, right? You would naturally tend to try and cool it by using pursed lips. So like you're blowing a kiss, right? You think, what do you mean by that? What I mean by that is, if you was trying to cool a cup of hot tea, you would not open your mouth wide like this, right? So you wouldn't try and breathe kind of air into it. Everybody knows if you do that, you kind of try and warm your hands, if you know what I mean. Your hands are cold on a cold day, and you try and warm your hands, and you kind of just kind of thing. You know what the sound I'm trying to make? You're trying to hurt the hot air onto your hand to warm it. But if you purse your lips, now that's a different story altogether. If you purse your lips, you blow a small column of your own breath, and everybody knows that's how you cool liquids down. That's how you cool things. And if you was to do that to yourself now, just purse your lips or just open your mouth and hurl it, you'll feel the difference. The cool air is coming out of that little kind of pursed lips that you just made, the little tiny hole. Imagine you're trying to cool some coffee. It's much cooler, isn't it? So there's science behind it. We use science all the time. Naturally, without ever even really thinking about it, such as birds have built-in mechanisms to fly. They know it all. They just do it naturally. It just occurs naturally. You don't have to think about it. And these little things have science behind them. Right, so we can use the same equation that we did earlier. So P1V1 over T1, P2 V2 over T2. I should make this a different colour, but never mind. Red usually seems to be my favourite in these videos. Hope you can see that. Right, so simply put, if this is a given state of the air inside, we know that your breath is warm. There's a certain pressure. Now, when we could say probably in this situation that the volume of the air that you're blowing out is not going to be compressed because there's not enough pressure to compress the gases. That's your breath, right? You're not producing that much pressure. So you could probably say that V1 equals V2. The volumes are the same. But however, we do know that the pressure is greater in here and less out here. So we do know that the pressure is going to drop. Now, to make this still a balanced equation, if the pressure drops, that means the temperature is going to drop. Simple as that. See that? So this side must equal this side. And in order for it to happen, if the pressure drops as we know it will drop, right, the temperature is going to drop. You're blowing air against the small opening in your mouth. So there's going to be built up pressure just before. So it's going to be higher pressure here and lower pressure here. Because you're open into an atmosphere. It's nothing pushing behind it. It'll be like a pump. Not high enough pressure to change the volume, but enough to release the pressure. Right, so the temperature is going to drop. That's why you feel that effect. Right, another example. This rubber is quite good. It raises very quickly. And another example is if you have a can of aerosol spray, and this is going to be what you call pertinent or important for what we're talking about, because we're talking about gases that compress in the air conditioning fluid system in your car. You've got this closed system of an aerosol can, whatever it is, and we're just going to look at the inside. We're not going to look at the nozzle. We're just going to look at the inside, right? Between the condition 1 and the condition 2, where you've sprayed whatever it is, fly killer or whatever it is, nice smelling scent for your house, wherever it is. And in our case, of course, we think to linking it to air conditioning fluid, it would also be the case. So in here, everybody knows when you shake the can, it's all kind of liquid, isn't it? And you've got some, it's all liquid, and you've got some compressed air in here compressing it, and there's a tube that fits down in there, and if you was to press that, the pressure up here would force the liquid out of the tube, up the tube, and then out the nozzle. Right, so the nozzle bit is very similar to the lips, that pursed lips thing, the example I gave you just now. But obviously the hole is a lot smaller, and the differences in pressures is going to be much greater. However, we're just looking at here. We just draw a dotted line in here. So what we've got is But P1, V1 over T1, P2, V2 over T2. We're just comparing the two. Now, we know for sure that the volumes are the same. If you look just in there, the volumes are the same. So, they're the same. They're kind of similar to what we had before. However, we do know that the pressure is higher here and the pressure is lower here, vastly lower. So this helps to actually kind of change what we studied just now, the pursed lips, into a much more easy to kind of picture thing in your head. The pressure is going to be inside the can. Don't worry about out here. Inside the can is going to be a lot less. And if that's going to be a lot less, the temperature is going to be a lot less inside the can. So slightly different from what we had when we were blowing the pursed lips. We're talking just about inside. Now, if this is the case, when we squeeze on these aerosol cans, we do feel the can getting much colder. Alright, that's when you are filling your air conditioning fluid system in your car. You should notice that if it's working properly, the can will get the kind of not can. It's like almost like a cylinder, a very tough cylinder. Gets cold because you're losing pressure inside, and to balance out the equation, you're also going to be losing temperature. Temperature is going to be lowered, so your hands are going to feel cold covering it. Right, enough of that. So hope that kind of helps a little bit of the science. Now, I haven't done science in many years, but I might be here and there slightly inaccurate, especially about the pursed lips thing. I'm not going to go too much into it. Study it yourself if you're not 100% sure of the validity of what I said. But thereabouts, I'm pretty sure about this aerosol can one. I'm accurate in what I'm saying. Alright. So my pursed lips one's my own kind of thing, my own kind of twist on it, where I've included my own ideas, and I think it's valid. It's a scientific theory. Why not? Anyone can make up a scientific theory. It's for other people to disprove it, right? Okay. So what we've got in a car is what you call, name it the Carnot Cycle, if I remember rightly. That's the overall name of it. You've got what you call a compressor. That's a closed system. What I mean is the whole cycle is a closed system, and I think they normally draw it like this. And you've got, I'm just probably going to put words. This is called a condenser. Now in your car, that's the thing. That's the radiator. That's in front of your car's coolant radiator. That's the radiator right in the front of your car, just after the front grille. And you've got what we call, it's an expansion valve. Used to be called throttle valve, expansion valve. That's also in the car. I can't remember how they draw it. Something like this, I think. Then you've got the bit inside your car, the kind of heat exchanger. And that's the thing that gives you the cool air. And that the proper word is the evaporator. Now this is where I'm going to kind of skip this bit where I'm using my pen. I'm just going to use my examples, which should be a lot clearer. I think I've got it going the other way. Actually, I've got it in the pictures. I've got it. So this will be pumping this way in this case. This way. I think I've got on my next example it pumping the other way. So let's get out of this. So here it is. Hope you can all see it. It's a much smaller picture. Whoops. Let's see if I can make it a bit bigger. Alright, so yeah, it's going the other way. Here's my compressor in my car. After the compressor, it's saying it's high pressure vapor. So vapor means it's still a gas. And see this line here, it's kind of pink instead of being red. Conversely over here, it's gone red. So this is at the front. There's your cooling fan in front of your car, or ambient air, which is your car pushing forward, and cool air kind of cooling it down. Here's your condenser. Normally your car's radiator is behind it. So high pressure vapor is kind of hot, cools it off, and then with the same sort of using the same combined gas laws, you'll be able to work out that it will turn into kind of, it'll condense, like you get condensation on a window, condenses into a liquid. It's lost enough energy to condense into liquid, let's say. That's how they choose the fluid, the R134 alpha. Turns to high pressure fluid, liquid. So this is all high pressure. Now it's a liquid. Goes into receiver dryer. Alright, and this receiver dryer I'll go into a little bit, and I'll show you an example of what's in my car. And it comes back out, goes to your expansion valve, so the throttle valve in other words. Now this is where it loses its pressure. It turns to saturated vapor. So the vapor is very wet, in other words. And it's at lower pressure now. This blue bit is low pressure. Now, as it draws in energy, because you're going to blow your car's internal hot air onto it to cool it down, it's going to take the heat from the air. So now you've got conditioned air, and it turns to low pressure vapor. And so the cycle repeats. The compressor compresses kind of low pressure vapor, so gas vapor, right? Doesn't really, and it kind of pushes it all back up, and the cycle repeats and it turns it into liquid. So usually the compressor, if one thing I found in my next video is, you'll find yourself when you try and do this, if there is no pressure here in your car when you're trying to refill it, but there's loads of pressure here, it's not going to work, because you're trying to compress some low pressure vapor into something that's really high pressure, and the compressor can't cope with it, and so the thing doesn't start cycling. In my next video, when I'm actually doing something practical, I had to stop it because I ran out of fluid. So I sort of did half of it, stopped it, did this video. Then I'm going to go back to doing the other one because I kind of ran out of fluid. Right, so the parts, the compressor for the Honda Civic looks like that. So that runs off the serpentine belt. Alright, see if I can click the right one. Here's my next one. There's the expansion valve, the throttle valve. That's the thing that does the opposite, releases the pressure, goes through a very small aperture, just like pursed lips and just like the little hole in front of the top of the nozzle on your aerosol can. That does that. One end it goes in liquid, other end it comes out as like saturated vapor. Right. This is the heat exchanger, or I like to call it heat exchanger. They call it the evaporator. Right. This is where it takes the energy, the heat energy from your car's internal air, blows back out being cold, taking the air, so that's how you feel cold afterwards. Missing one. This is the receiver dryer. Usually these hang at the these hang on the condenser. You usually see these like kind of long tubes of like a cylinder, long cylinder. So the job of this is to receive the incoming gas fluid mixture, filter it a bit, and they'll have things in there to dry, because you don't want moisture in there, to dry the actual mixture. And it also acts as a kind of reservoir as well. When you switch everything off, it gives somewhere for the liquid mixture to settle as well. It acts as a little bit of a reservoir. The three, and it's a good idea when you, for example, like mine is one of my cars, when you're completely devoid of any kind of leaked right out of, you're devoid of any kind of fluid and there's no pressure in any of it. It's a good idea to just change this, because it's only like £30. So you're meant to change them. Otherwise, if these get clogged up, or the thing that takes away moisture, the chemicals that take away moisture, I think silicates, If they become saturated themselves, it won't work very well. Your system won't run very well. So it's a good idea. Just unscrew these. I'm going to do it in one of my videos in the future. I didn't do it in this next video coming up, but I will do it because it didn't really completely. I didn't really have a completely empty system. And by the way, people get quite kind of angst about, oh, you know, evacuating your gas into the atmosphere. Very true, very true. Must always recycle this stuff properly. If you want to, if you've got, let me go back to this one. If you've got loads of pressure backed up in there, you're going to have to use some sort of evacuation thing to kind of draw some of the pressure out. However, many cars have the fluid leaks out by themselves anyway. Over time they leak, and if you find you've got a leak, you may find that you've got nothing in there. So, you know, you've already like dispensed with, I don't know, half a kilogram of this stuff into the air anyway. You want your air conditioning on, and there is the high pressure port on your car's air conditioning system. Now that's where you attach your evacuate from, right? Try and evacuate the whole system and start all over again. Saying that, if you was to get stuck, I'll give you a hint. If the system is to get stuck, you chucked in your refill for the low pressure port, and you had the compressor going like I do when you jump the relay, and it runs anyway. But you find it's not moving. It's probably one of the reasons is, and I'm hinting, it's too much pressure in this bit here, where the high pressure port is. I'm not going to say what you should do. What I say is sometimes in there is the high pressure fluid, but also, especially when you've done it wrong, also the high pressure gas as well. There's high pressure air, the compressed air from the refill the cylinder you was using, that gets stuck in there. So really, what should be in there shouldn't really be, shouldn't be a bit of gas. When these do leak, hint hint, if they were to be, if you was to press on the high pressure valve in there, what tends to happen is if it was running well, you'll get like a spray of like fine mist of, it looks like steam from a kettle, like fine. Be careful. But like I said, I've had systems leak. This is what I've noticed. I'm not saying I do it myself. This is what I'm hinting at. This is what happens. You get a fine spray of mist come shooting out very, very quickly. So be careful. Safety glasses and gloves. However, if it was pressured incorrectly, only kind of pressurized air would come out. You would not see the fine mist, if you get my drift. Alright? So that tends to, if you got now this is what I'm saying, if you have your evacuation unit, if you was to just evacuate the high pressure air that's trapped in there, that will free up your system. If you had an evacuation system, that would free up the air in there, the trapped air, and your system will start running again. Alright, so that's my take on the sciencey bit behind it, and it really helps to understand especially how to fix that last bit I was on about, a very common fault when you're going to refill it. Very, very common. Anyway, thanks for watching, and please hit that like, subscribe button. Once you're a subscriber, the little bell icon pops up, and if I've not really kind of spliced in a reminder to hit the bell icon, hit the bell icon. I don't do that many videos, so you won't get one after another, 4 or 5 a day annoying you in your email box. You get 1, maybe 2 at the very most. And it just helps me, my channel, and for you, because I've known some subscribers say, "Oh, you've stopped producing videos." No, I haven't. It's just they're not I'm not the preferred at the moment. Hopefully in the future it will change. I'm not the preferred YouTube kind of guy. channel, and hoping to, of course, be a preferred person. But at the moment, really helps if you press that bell icon. Thanks for watching.